Thank you, Mr. Mayokun. Please let's appreciate our coordinator, the person of Mayokun Aduti. You're all welcome. Welcome, Grace Anuforo. We appreciate you joining us today. Adetola Chibugum and Wahid Ilori and every other person on the call. So sorry, I can just pick, the few names I'm able to see. So today is another day for our leadership events, and for those of you who are not aware of what the leadership table events is all about, it's an educational series by Yali RLC alumni, Nigeria North Central region, where we check in on young leaders around the world and then get them to share their experiences and personal stories in leadership, in a fireside chat. And the purpose is to dig deeper into context, that young people are facing, their challenges, the challenges they are facing as young leaders, and see how we can inspire, each and everyone to overcome those challenges. So today we have Grace Anuforo as our guest speaker. Hello, Grace. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Good evening.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. So, I don't know. Let me allow you introduce, yourself. So, tell us basically whatever you like us to know. What you involved in your leadership portfolio. Should I use that word? So, Grace, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much again. Hello, everyone. I'm Grace Anuforo, and I must say that it's a privilege to be in our midst today. I'm honored that I was invited. I'm honored to be invited to inspire us, share my story and see how this can help to inspire others, and give ideas of how they can also continue to do whatever they have to do to make the world a better place. So I'm Grace, I'm a school administrator. I am also a public health professional. And I also like to call myself an advocate for the girl child, well, and women, but I'm particular about children. So most of my work targets the girls. Once in a while I do for women, but most of my work targets the girl child. So yes.
Wow, and that's great. I think that's where we're going to begin our discussion for today. From what you just explained to us, and based on your portfolio as well, we've seen that you're more focused on the SDG agenda 4 and 5, and
Yes.
that's quality education and women and girl child empowerment. Yeah. So why did you why are you focused on these two? Is there any sort of story behind that?
Okay, well, initially it was supposed to be a gender equality thing. I've always had a thing for women empowerment, taking care of girls, because first off, I'm a woman. I was once a girl, and I grew up in a family where both my parents were empowered and had equal decision-making power. So my mom could make decisions without having to involve my dad. Of course, couples involve each other. What I mean is that he doesn't, like, she could pay bills, she could do what she had to do as an adult without having to wait on my dad to give her the money to do it. So she had financial, what would I call it? She had financial power. She could make financial decisions. She could, she had stuff going for her. And because of this, my family was quite comfortable, and because of this as well, my sister, I have three sisters, we're all girls. So my sisters and I grew up independent. We had everything we needed to have. We could do stuff we wanted to do without having to wait on somebody. So I grew up seeing that kind of family, that kind of family. Both parents were equal, they had equal rights. However, when I got into the university, I started to see different things, started to see from other people, my female colleagues, started to see how girls will have to, they want to buy phones, they have to call their boyfriends to do it for them. They had to do, when it comes to money, it had to be some boy or the other, And then in final year in the university, everything that had to do with future career, basically, for many ladies, centered around a man, centered around marriage. And there was really no, they didn't really, there was no interest in impacting lives. It was all, oh, after school, this is it, one-way traffic. So it looked strange to me. And, I was like, what's going on? I mean, it was quite different for me. So I knew that was when I knew I wanted to do something for women and girls, because as much as, it's good to do all these things, I also believe that we all have a purpose on earth, right? Somehow, everybody has a reason for being on earth. So we should not get carried away by whatever it is, whatever it is that will make us not to achieve our purpose. So I started to carry girls along, started to have some little, and I noticed that quality education covers both boys and girls. That's why I got interested in quality education. It covers gender equality. So, I brought quality education on board. And that's how, from that time till now, it has been like that for me.
Oh, that's wonderful, and I must say big kudos to your mom. Because
Thank
it
you.
appears you there is the where you experienced what it's like to have a woman who is empowered, and then
Yeah.
what you're trying to do is to replicate that people's lives so they can
Yeah.
actually have the power to um, make decisions as well. That's wonderful. So the next question now is still around being empowered and gender equality. So when people say gender equality, at times that phrase it's misinterpreted. For some people, they coin it into something like, let's say, maybe war against men. So, what's your take on that? What is your definition of gender equality?
Well, I'm just going to use the illustration of this. So this is here and this is right down here. So gender
Okay,
equality would be trying to bring everybody on the same level
to
as
the same
regards
level.
rights,
Yeah.
rights and opportunities. That it's as simple as that. It has nothing whatsoever to do with marriage, how whether the man pays the bills or the woman washes the plates. It has nothing whatsoever to do with these things are frivolous issues. And it's upsetting. I've grown up anyways before. Oh my goodness. I used to be a keypad warrior. I always want to educate every single, this is not, but eventually I got to realize not everybody's interested in knowing what this thing is.
That's
Everybody just wants to,
okay.
they have their own idea of it and that's what they want. So I just face my stuff, face my projects, do what I have to do, and try to see how I can work to achieve that particular goal. But it has nothing whatsoever to do with hatred for men. Christ, I have a dad. I love my dad. I mean, I have a man. I love men. Please, what would we do without men in the world? That was a
Exactly.
joke. Oh, that's a part. Yeah, right. So why would I want to hate men because I'm a gender equality because I'm a feminist? It has nothing whatsoever to do with that. It just has to do with equal rights and opportunities. If boys are going to school, girls should be allowed to go to school. If women can be nurses, if a man wants to be a nurse, please, by all means, why shouldn't he be a nurse? I'm a school administrator. On Wednesday, aside my school administration job, I like to teach. In fact, I prefer to teach. I love the classroom environment. So I was in a class, grade 1, that's primary 1 class. And we're talking. I just like to talk with kids. They were on break, so we're just having an interaction. And one of them, she's 6 years old, said that she wanted to be, don't remember what she wanted to be. Then a boy said, well, I want to be a doctor. So I now said, a doctor, why? Because I want to take care of sick people. I said, oh, but nurses take care of sick people too. So why not? The next thing, the 2 girls in the class started to laugh. They laughed, and I'm like, why are you laughing? The other one said, Miss Grace, you're very funny. How can a boy be a nurse? I'm like, so I had to educate them and tell them, no, a boy can be anything he wants to be. A girl can be anything she wants to be. So people should, this idea of we hate boys or we hate men, or, it's not true. It's not. Whoever is doing that, it's probably, maybe she has or she had a problem with a man, or maybe, a background, it happens like that. There's also, what is this thing called now for women? Hate, misogyny, where men hate women. So that's, are we going to say that one is male gender equality or what? So it happens like that. It doesn't mean that it's fight
Definitely not.
against men. No, it's not that.
Well, thank you for that. Um, so during your period um, as a fellow for Yali RLC, did the experience impact your life? And if it did, how much impact? How did it impact your life?
Oh, a lot. A lot. It impacted my life a lot. I met people, and through that, I was able to develop partnership connections that gave birth to partnerships. And over the years, I realized that whatever project I have done, when other people are involved, when there's partnership, it flies. Like, it really flies compared to when I
Yes.
try to do it alone, or when I try to go look for sponsors. Nothing happens with looking for sponsors. I won't, from my 5 years of experience in social work, I would say that partnerships, they are the best 100% ways to get projects achieved. So yes, I would say that number one, where the yearly RLC has impacted me is partnerships, and giving me partnerships. Secondly, my leadership skills improved. Immediately after my NYC, I applied for the RLC and I was selected. So it was like my first leadership learning experience, because prior to that, I had never really gone out. Why do I want to hear about fellowship now? As a, most back then, as a university student, all we did was read, read, read. I didn't even think of searching for anything, going for it, looking for fellowship or whatever. I didn't even know what all those things meant. So RLC was my first leadership learning experience. So I was able to get some skills, and I applied them over the years. Till now, I'm applying the leadership skills that I learned from the RLC. So yes, I would say it impacted my life positively a lot.
Oh, so great. I love, the first aspects of being able to partner with people and achieve your objectives. I think one of the major points that was highlighted during the leadership, the RLC program, was self-awareness. So you actually know, your strengths, and if you know where you're not strong enough, you can get someone, to work
Yeah,
with you who can complement,
exactly.
yes, those skills you lack. That's great. So throughout your some projects you've handled, for example, the literacy development, empowerment opportunities, what achievements have you recorded so far?
A lot of achievements. Um, okay, if I want to start with the women empowerment, we started for women empowerment. That would start. I would say we started that in 2017, and it started with empowering, training, gathering a group of young women. Most of them were young women. Gathering a group of young women to train them in a particular skill. And after that, we fixed them up for internship with partner organizations. So 3 months internship. So these girls would intern with the organizations, and that way they get to learn what they learned during the first day of training where we gathered them. You know, there's a limit to what you can learn when you get trained in a day. But when you are doing it
Yes.
over time, you know, you get perfect in it. So that was the idea behind the internship, just so that it can be sustainable. So even though it was challenging getting partners who would train these girls for free, you know, it was quite challenging. So I would say that out of all the 56 girls we trained in the past 4 years, only 3 of them are making use of what they learned or what they got from that program. And that's fine by me. Even if it's one, I'm okay with that as long as, you know, there's a result. That's fine. So only three
Yes.
young women have been able to become bosses of their own with respect to that. So I would say that that's an achievement for me, no matter how little, or for us, for my team. And secondly, talking about that same women empowerment, in 2019, we did a survey of how COVID-19 affected women in rural areas. So we went to, there's a video on my Instagram and even on my organization's Instagram, Facebook, you know, social media, where the video, a very short video, it was like a documentary. We went around to ask women what they have been able to, what exactly is the challenge. And most of them talked about finance. You know, some of them, because children could not go to school, they had to stay home with their kids. They couldn't go for their menial, because many of them were doing menial jobs, cleaning, you know, sweeping and all that. So
Okay.
most of them couldn't even go for the menial jobs that were giving them peanuts if, you know, so they were totally dependent on their husbands. And if you are totally dependent on your husband, how does the house want to, how do I say it? You guys cannot feed well because the other person is totally dependent, you know. So it was very
Yes.
hard for the children, it was very hard for the women, and that was it. And some of them even lost their jobs. So we had to come up with a project that provided women with farm produce like rice, yams, indomie, you know, food stuff, raw foods. So we gave them, it was a partnership with farmers as well. I told you earlier, I love partnerships. It goes a long way in achieving stuff. So we partnered with 1 or 2 farmers. That was a little difficult. Eventually, we even had to go buy some of this food stuff because it was hard getting partnerships, but we had 2 farmers on board, you know. So we gave these women the food stuff. So when they sell the food stuff, they keep the profit. For example, if the food stuff is 2,300, you know, she sold it 2,300. So if the profit is supposed to be 500, she keeps it and gives us the capital so we can get her another set of foodstuff. So that way we're helping to keep food on the table of families through women, you know, and the women were happy. We did a video also. So you can check it out on Instagram or whatever social media, Grace Anuforo. You will see that as well. The women were happy. And we started in Ogun State. We wanted to target just Southwest because of funds, you know, the challenges that these things come with. And, you know, it was successful in Ogun State. Then we took it to Oyo, you know, and women turned up. Though we are still doing it in Ogun State, but we have paused it in Oyo State because of the challenges. But I would say that the 6 women that we impacted in Ogun State were happy. That's an achievement for me. 2 of them are still in the program till now. So that's another achievement I would say that we recorded. As regards literacy, not we have been trying to provide free education scheme for girls in the northern communities of Nigeria so that we can reduce child marriage, because this is like the major reason for child marriage. So we have just 2 girls who are enjoying this free education scheme though. So we're trying to see how we can keep doing it and keep adding maybe 1 girl per session, per school session, you know, 1 girl per school session, so that we can help them to complete their basic education. If you have at least your basic education, we could also raise funds for your tertiary education. But at least for now, we would like that the girls finish their basic education so that even if they want to get married, they already have a little idea of education. They can take care of their babies properly. We can have reduced number of maternal and child death, you know. Those ones, I just feel that those are achievements. I see those little successes as achievements for us.
Yes, and I love positive outlook you have, even though it's three persons or maybe six that are making use of the training you've given them. It's actually a success. And even the other ones who are probably not using those skills at the main time, I believe they are still parts of the success story, because you probably have pointed them in another direction. Maybe they've seen that, okay, this is not for me. So you've given them the training and they've become aware that, okay, maybe I need to try something else. So I believe it's a win-win, scenario for you.
In
You're
the end,
making impacts on both sides. So you spoke about child marriage in certain community works you've done, and we know its prevalence in northern Nigeria, and an attempt to solve that problem, comes with its own challenges due to the social um,
cultural
stance
belief
they
and
have.
all that.
Yes, exactly, definitely. So, can you share some of these challenges that you faced and how you were able to overcome them?
Well, to be honest, I envisaged some challenges, like really huge challenges. But do you know that till date, I think about that we didn't actually face challenge. We didn't face any challenge. We didn't face the challenges
Yeah.
I envisaged. I was surprised, and the reason was because of partnerships. I will go back to partnerships again. I'm going to tell you the story behind that. So, on my team, we have 72 young Africans from 82 different countries in Africa. But on this team, we have a particular northerner. I think he's from somewhere in Kano State or so. Very passionate young man, very passionate about women and girls. So he told me about this thing, this northern problem. And so we started to work on how we could do something about it. Because personally, I hate when girls are being denied. I don't like it. It gets me angry. Sometimes I wonder what is going on. Don't they have a child rights act over there? Can't they follow it? I'm really pissed. So I said, okay, let's do something about it. So he brought into contact. He how do I say it? Linked us up with an NGO in the north, and we started to work with those ones. So because they are there, they were able to do the groundwork, get us the stakeholders we needed to talk, because these people, you need to go through stakeholders who community entry, they call it community entry, otherwise you just hit roadblocks over everywhere. So they got us, we brought the emir of Kano of Zamfara on board, because the project was in Zamfara. We brought the emir of Zamfara on board. We brought some religious leaders on board. We brought traditional leaders, a couple of other stakeholders. And they got to know the importance of educating the girl child. All these things were done by that NGO, ICRA Foundation. So, they did all that. All we needed to do was, give content, bring in the free education scheme, the sponsorship, while they did the groundwork. So when it was time on October 11, 2019, that's the International Day of the Girl Child, we went to Zamfara State. From those of us here from this side went to that side. You won't believe that I was warmly contrary to what people say about the North. If you go to the culture, for where those guys were actually nice. I've never felt so as important as I felt that day. To be honest, they received me so well. And me too. I kukuma tie scarf like Alaja. Cute. Another thing is whenever you're going somewhere, you should behave. Even the Bible says this. If you're in Rome, behave like the Roman. So I dressed in all of the northern regalia. I looked house-ish, and I received a warm welcome. They treated me well. Even the NGO provided me with a hotel, for free. A very cool, nice. All I needed to do was go to the event. They even took me there in a convoy. They took me to the event center on that day. And all I needed to do was just give a speech present the free education scheme certificate to the girls that they selected, because of course they know best, and that was it. That was it. And all we needed to do was just to be sending the funds to the NGO's account to pay the girls. That was it. The only challenge was taking ourselves down to that place. So, like I always say, partnerships go a long way. You can't do anything yourself. No matter how little it is, partnerships go a long way. So for this girl child this free education scheme that it is, of all the projects that we have had to do, this one did not give us any problem at all.
That's interesting. Teamwork makes the dream work. And it appears you've really done quite a lot in social services and volunteering. So we are tempted to ask about other things you're involved, like your personal business. Can you share that with us, your source of income?
Yeah, I'm a school administrator, so I get paid monthly. So that's how I run. And I'm also a Teach for Nigeria fellow. They give us a stipend every month. I cannot tie myself down to my school administration job. I kind of co-own the school, so I'm at liberty to travel whenever I want to, So because of the kind of work I do, social work, I can't afford to be tied down to a job where I won't be allowed to travel or to leave to take permission if I have to.
Yeah.
So yes, so that's work I get paid monthly, and I also get paid from my Teach for Nigeria stipend.
Okay, so I believe helping people will actually motivates you a lot, to grow as a person. So next thing is, considering the current state of things in Nigeria, which one do you think the country needs the most? Is it quality education or gender equality? I know you're working with both of them, so let's hear you. Which one do you think comes first?
A very interesting question. I would say that quality education should come first, because when you look at the targets of the gender equality goal, we have the targets and we have the indicators. In the target, it only has women in mind. Equal access, women empowerment, women should be able to do this. Women, it targets women so that we can bring women up to the level of where men have gotten to. Because in
Yes,
times past, women have been,
relegated to the back.
yes.
Yeah.
So we've had to. So that's so it's focusing on just women. But quality education target, if you check it out, talks about equal access to quality pre-primary education. So both boys and girls must have equal access to affordable technical, vocational, and higher education. All of those gender disparity, having to remove gender disparity in education, all those things. So you see that it focuses on both boys and girls, or both men and women. So that's why I would say that, to be fair, I think that the quality education goal comes first, and then the gender. Those two are very important, actually. But I think
Yes,
I'll
and and I believe, looking at the current situation of things in the country, having access to quality education is becoming somewhat of a challenge based
yes,
on the security issues we're having. We're having our kids, being kidnapped and
yes,
kept away from school for weeks and even months in some
exactly.
cases. Yeah. So kindly tell the attendees of this program, simple ways through which they can contribute in their vicinity, to promote access to quality education and um, gender equality.
Well, we can start with ourselves. For example, I mentioned an example of the kids who were saying, "Oh, Miss Grace, you're funny. How can a boy be a nurse?" Start with that, please. There was another time I was talking to the as a teacher, as I also do home tutoring for kids. Most of them are preschool kids. So I gave him a magic board to write on. It was pink in color, sorry, yellow in color. And I gave it to him. Write your, and he's like, Miss Grace, this is a yellow magic board. This is for girls. Give me blue. As much as we think these
Really?
things are little, there is, seriously, I was shocked. There is some iota of, we might think that it's frivolous or it doesn't really matter. No, there's some atom of, gender inequality. How can a child be saying blue, give me blue, yellow is for girl? Why? What's that? So there are some other things too that, he would feel that girls should not do this, and same with every other child. So we can start from there. When you hear a child saying something that has to do with gender disparities, differences as regards interests, anybody can be interested in anything, regardless of your gender, right?
Yes.
Abilities. If you think that you can do this, don't say you won't do it because you're a girl. Girls should not be doing it. No. So we can start from there. And before you know it, you find a project or a challenge in that thing. And you can then come up with a project, an intervention project. And if you pitch this, you see people will turn up for you because it has worked for me several times. I saw something that looked funny as regards gender equality and quality education. I pitched this that challenge, and people are like, oh, really? And then they donate, or they turn up, they bring themselves into the picture and help you to come to realization. So we can start from there. We can also, I was doing something for girls who could not read and write, because in Ogun State where I live, there's free education in public schools. The government made arrangements for children to have free education in public primary schools. I'm not sure of secondary schools. I'm very sure of primary schools. However, if you don't know how to read and write, you cannot enjoy schooling, because you can't read the exam questions and you can't write. So I had to pick a few girls in, girl child beggars who dropped out because of frustration, because they couldn't read and write. And I, did that. And that was my pitch when I was applying for Teach for Nigeria Fellowship. That was also my pitch when I was applying for the Rotary International Peace Fellowship that I got into. So you talk about these things, these little things around you that you can do that will make people. And another thing about this thing is we probably think that, oh, how do we raise funds? These little things, because I get that question a lot. How do you run your organization? We didn't have a bank account and of a formal account until last week. And it's not like I'm not the kind of person that will go on social media and put my own name and my own bank account and say, please kindly donate to the cause. I don't like it. It's embarrassing. If you're going to do that, then it should be the organization's. So I don't do that. I've never done it. But people just send in donations because they see what you're doing. So these are the littlest of things, when it comes to these, challenges, these openings. You can do them. And before you know it, things are happening and you don't even know how they're happening. They're just happening.
Oh, that's quite inspiring. So, lastly but not the least, is there specific benefits that women empowerment, would bring, and why are you passionate about that?
Oh yes, it brings fulfillment. I told you about the COVID-19 intervention project we did for women. So when I see women
Yes.
providing for their families, it gives me joy. I see my mom through them. Like, I can help these women to take care of their kids. It brings me joy. And when they see me, Auntie Grace, thank you. Thank you for that. Do you understand? So
Yes.
when you put smiles on people's faces. I've had my down times, to be honest. Sometimes I cry because there's a project that's supposed to happen and I don't even know where I'll get funds from. I don't even know what I would do. There's a lot of things on my shoulders. It's not easy to run a team. Everybody's doing their thing. I'm not paying anybody. So I cannot expect people to have time, to come and be doing something for me. I've had my downtimes, but when these people's testimonies keep coming, when I hear people chat me up, girls especially, Miss Grace, I want to so. Like I feel like okay, I'm useful for this girl. These are the things that make me happy. And then aside that, when you want to apply, that is another achieve. How do I say it? The
Benefits.
result. That's another result. When I apply for
Okay.
fellowship, I use these little stories, and even if I don't get in, I get contacted that okay, this. Oh, please, can you do this? Because there are so many more qualified people. But regardless, because of what I've done, they still want to do something with me. These things are part of what keep me going.
Oh, that's wonderful. I believe we can keep going on and on and on, and Grace will definitely have more insights to throw on quality education and gender equality as to how it can benefit the society in general. But I would like to stop here and give room for members of the chat. You've only been hearing me and Grace speak. So now is your opportunity. If you have questions, if you have contributions, suggestions, whatever it is, you can use the chat to ask your question or raise your hand, and I will give you the floor so you can speak. So questions or contributions. Is it that nobody has any question to ask? I guess I would have to start asking myself, or maybe Grace would do that. Since she's a teacher, she has given her lecture. We need to confirm that that the participants, actually keyed into what she's saying. Okay, I think we have one here. Adedayo Adeoye. Please, you can go ahead, sir. Hello, Adedayo. Please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. That was a very nice presentation. It actually
Thank you.
filled with so many information that are eye-opening
Yes.
and actually encouraging, right? But I just have one question, and that is something that has been bothering me since. I'm this kind of person that I'm not into education, right? I'm not studying anything related to education, but then I have passion for quality education, most especially the one that has to do with secondary school education, both junior and senior secondary school. So I want to ask, how can you couple this kind of passion with, if you are not into education, how can you couple it with what you are currently doing? Is it possible for you to be able to perform in that space? I suppose you have that kind of passion. I think you get it. Hello.
Hello. Okay, I heard you. Grace, I don't know if
Sorry, a
you
call
got
came
the
in, so I
question
didn't
or.
hear the ending part of the question.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
what
Okay.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that, for example, say you are a medics and you have passion for quality education, like maybe, you know, by virtue of something, you just have passion, you just like to see people, getting quality education, regardless of whatever background they are
Yeah.
coming from. But that's not your full-time job. You didn't study in school to become a teacher, right?
Yes.
So how can you couple? Is it possible for you to couple that with your profession? And even if you couple, is it possible for you to be able to perform excellently well in that space? That's the
Okay.
question.
Thank you very much for that question. First off, I didn't also go to school to do education. As a matter of fact, like you said, I'm even a medic, and even for my master's program, I did public education. Sorry, I did public health. And my PhD presently is also on public health. So I had nothing whatsoever to do with education until I entered into the education field. I had to go do a postgraduate diploma in education. So I had nothing whatsoever education, and all that. However, because I was passionate about it, in fact, before I started, I used to think that I'm impatient with babies. Like I can't teach a pre-toddler, I can't teach a preschooler. Nursery school teachers are trying. I used to say that until I started, and because of the interest, in the passion for giving kids the best kind of education, because I believe in their foundation, it came naturally. So, but I feel that may be a gift for me. For you, you might not have the gift of teaching. So rather than going to teach, you can work with people in that field. You can see how you can work with people in the quality education field. In education field rather, because you have the passion for kids, for young people as regards education, right? And
Yes.
you probably don't have the gift for teaching, probably. Then you can see how you can partner with people in that area, in that aspect. And from there, you never know.
Oh, thank you for that response.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me see. I think someone else raised. Okay, Wahid Ilori. You can have the floor now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm really delighted to have you today. You have spoke well. But my question is, please, I want to ask a question. How can somebody with little or let me say zero capital start up a school?
Okay.
In an area where we observe that there's people are deprived of good quality education.
Thank you for that. So
Okay,
I would say that I started with creche, though you might not start with creche since you are a man. You might not be interested in carrying babies and cleaning poo and all that. And yours is basically for education. It's not like what I started with. So with little or no capital, you can start by giving free lessons. Free lessons on literacy. ABC, 1, 2, 3. When children can recognize numbers and letters through you, I have a story like that. When I started my home tutoring session, I started with children with recognition of numbers and letters, with one parent, with a child, a family. So in like 3 weeks, because I have video resources that help me to know how to teach kids how to read and write, how to recognize letters. In a month, the child will be able to recognize every 3-year-old baby child, A to Z, every single letter in a month, and as well as 1 to 20 in a month. They will recognize anywhere you put it, so I have resources. So it helps me. And so that parent referred me. It was like a referring, opportunity. Oh, this person did this for my child. And so another person came on board because of that thing I did for this child. Then another person too, and that's how people started to call me, oh, please, I want you to do this for my child, or please, do you understand? So you can start with one child on literacy. I could, if you would like, I could send you the resources I use. So you could start with one child. And if there's a success in that child, no matter how little, other people will come on board. And before you know it, if you want to make money from it, you can just charge a little, at least for your transport fare, for your time. It makes sense. If you're starting a school, of course, you need to make money from it. So little by little. And that's how it was until I had to stop the home tutoring because I didn't even have time to run the school. I was doing more of home tutoring. So that happens. So if you can start with one child with those resources, I don't advise people to start too big or start ASAP, start everything like at once. No, if you do that, you could crash before you even find your step, before you even find yourself. So you can start with one child. That way you'll be able to learn, even you are learning how to teach people. So you start with one child and with no capital. You don't need capital for it at all. You just need the resources, your data and your phone. That's all. That's all you need.
Thank you, ma. Please, will you connect me to the resource you used?
Yeah, I'll send it to Mr. Mayoko.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
hello, Wahid,
Hello.
do you have questions?
No.
Is someone speaking?
Okay,
Yeah.
no, actually, she spoke about toddlers and crèche, but he spoke where they are still in line with what I do actually, but I'm thinking of secondary school students. So I
Okay,
have to,
okay.
you try. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can start for secondary school students, same thing. You can start with lesson. It's lesson
Yes.
that helps you. So start with lesson, get some resources, teach one or two people, and the others will come on board.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, so any other question? Okay. I can see Umaru Galadima is here with us. So ask your question.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening.
Sorry, I wanted to join earlier. It's a very interesting topic. I just doze up. I was able to struggle out of my bed now. Welcome, everyone. I just go through the email sent to all of us before this program commences, and I find out that we are doing very well in terms of girl-child education, especially in the north, right?
Okay, yes. In the north, yes.
Oh, okay. So specifically, I have this question to ask because I recently work on girl-child education program
Okay.
with mentor called the Educating Nigerian Girls in New Enterprise Engine 2. And there were many challenges when it comes to even convincing people on the value of the girl child education. And I can see during your interaction with the communities, there is this kind of acceptance you have, starting with one growing bigger on a pyramid. And I didn't overheard you mentioning that some people didn't even know the value of the education, that they all accept it all along. So I want to ask this question like, how did you come across a community in the north? Because no matter how valuable what you are doing is, you have to do extra work to convince some people that teaching girls is very important, and bringing them to you to also accept what you are doing is another thing. So did you face any of those challenges, or are you working in a special community in the north, maybe to say a learned community, be it in Abuja, some social places like Kaduna, or have you worked in a very far north community, and how do they accept so quick that education is very important and that they are even maybe thinking that it's worth valuable to even pay money for? How did you overcome those challenges?
Thank you for the question. I don't know if you were here earlier when I said that through a partnership with one of the NGOs in Zamfara. Zamfara State is actually where we started with, and that's where we are for now. We're not in any other state in the north for now, even though we have team members in other states, but we're trying to focus on one state for now. So we had a partnership with an NGO over there who did all the groundwork. So basically, these people the community people do not know about girl child education. They don't care about it. But because the Emir of Zamfara was on board, because a couple of other religious leaders and traditional leaders were on board, the major stakeholders in communities over there were on board, so the parents were open to it, so it was this NGO that helped us to do community entry, as regards bringing the stakeholders on board. So it was so easy to bring the members of the community on board, because already we had stakeholders there. And all this work, all this groundwork, none of them was done by my organization. It was done by the partner NGO over there. So I will just say that partnerships go a long way with this thing you're talking about. Yes, I understand cultural beliefs and all, but you need to bring in stakeholders. If you don't bring in stakeholders, it's going to be very difficult to carry the beneficiaries along.
Well, thank you very much. I think I expect similar answers from you. So it means that these challenges are everywhere, and specifically Zamfara State is one of the states that have these challenges.
Yeah.
Basically, if you are dealing with either in-school girls or out-of-school girls in the north, especially when you say literacy, ability to speak, to write, to read, and comprehend English, which is a very basic problem in the north. You realize that all they are learning in school, for example, is letter name, not letter sound.
Yes.
So this is a very wide or bigger challenge that the children find it very difficult to pronounce because they only learn letter names. So looking at any word on their own, they try to pronounce the words in letter names instead of the letter sounds.
Yes.
Challenge. That even affects their mother tongue pronunciation, pronouncing syllables. I don't know. This is a very technical and sensitive part of literacy when you are dealing with children in the north. Starting with the alphabets, basically at the basic level.
Yes. So it's actually not a challenge only in the north. You know, I told you I'm doing a fellowship with Teach for Nigeria. So, and it has to do with, we attend to children in underserved communities. My school is for children of the elite, you know, so it's quite easy to bring them on board to teach them. It's a little easy because, I mean, their parents can afford to pay all the bills. But for the children in underserved communities, this same challenge you talked about, even children of the elite, if you are not very careful, children will just pay attention to only the letter names. So they have to be taught. I'm thinking about another project on how we can do something for girls, even in schools in the north, to see how we can teach them the letter sounds so that they can be able to read. I don't know if, you know, I'm still thinking about how we can do that, but truly it's a very big challenge. Letter sounds is a very, very big challenge. So we need to also train the teachers over there, teachers of public schools, on how to teach. After you have taught children the letter names, then they should be able to teach them how each of these letters sound. If they don't know the letter sounds, they can never be able to read. It will not be possible.
Thank you so much. Hello, I think that should do it for us for this weekend's events. So before we go, Grace, you would share with us your social media handles, websites, and anything you feel we should know, maybe to follow your progress and any medium by which we can reach out to you. So it could be your Instagram. I remember you mentioned that you have some of the things you've done there, your LinkedIn and websites, whichever one you can share with us now.
Okay, so I'm Grace Anuforo everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. And I put all my work on all this social media. So Grace Anuforo, that's my name everywhere. And our website is thegracielainitiative.com. So I'm open to, I can also drop my number, 0706. That's my WhatsApp number, 0706.
Okay, you can just drop it in the comment section. The website I'm not sure everyone got the website. So the website and your phone number, if you would like to drop that as well. So while she's doing that, I appreciate you all for joining today's event, and I'm sure you would agree with me that this was quite an inspiring and educative session. But I believe some of us will still have questions and things we would like to discuss, and that's why we usually have the breakout rooms. So I'll be creating the breakout rooms now, and then you can join to continue the discussion. So Grace, I don't know if you have anything to say to help us round up.
Oh, well, I'll just say that we should all continue, we're all leaders, we should continue to look for problems in wherever we find ourselves, and try to come up with solutions using partnerships. I want to encourage us to leverage more on partnerships in achieving our goals, because even one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is the last, when they say save the last for the best, I believe that's why the SDG 17 is the last, because it's the best.
Yeah.
Partnerships for the goals, it goes a long way, it goes a very long way. So that's what I want to leave us with. Thank you for having me.
All right.